What about today? We're going to be reviewing episode 15 of Dragon Ball Daima, and I want to talk about one big problem I had with this episode, and a little bit with Dragon Ball Daima that I've been kind of seeing throughout the show, but never fully was confirmed on the problem that I had. There were some glimpses and some statements that did kind of lead to it that made me feel a little weird about it. But this episode in general brought it out completely. Um, but I'll talk about that later. Now, this episode, it automatically starts off with them being in the first demon world, being attacked by the guards. They're running away. They're getting fired out by their guns, and they're trying to find cover and duck, and they're trying to fight them off. But the guns are too much for them. As Goku jumps out, he gets hit, and then he gets pretty much kind of like electrocuted, and he's down on the ground. He can barely move, and he's struggling. And Vegeta is even like, man, screw this. I'm not gonna let these ray guns take me down. I'm a Saiyan. So he jumped out and he was able to get some of them down, but then they started over like powering him by firing at him completely, which also took him down. So now they were struggling, they were scared, and they were trying to find, how to get out of the situation because all of them are coming after them, and there's a bunch of people with a bunch of weapons, and they're trying to fight them while this is happening. But we also see Goma and Degusu, they're checking out the fight, what's happening, and then they find out that they're seeing who's there with them, and then they find out the guy Kibisu, they find out that he had a belt with the third eye, the Oculus eye thing. And he's like, oh, we need to get that from him. And then we get also like a little bit of a backstory about that. They explain that whoever gets the power of this third eye gets an immense amount of power and it gets really super powerful and they can do a lot. And it gives it increased their magic power by quite a bit. And it was used by the first Demon King and then the other one, but then it was missing. Because somebody stole it after a while. And then it was just gone for quite a while. And we find out that apparently it was Deborah. He was going against his father. He wanted the power from his father, but his father had the gem, so he had to get rid of it. So he hired a thief to steal it from him. He did steal it, and he ended up, getting away. But one of the Krakens smacked him into the second world, or I think it was the first world or whatever. No, the third world. He got smacked into there, and then a bandit beat him up, took it, and then ran off with it, and then he lost it. And that's how Hibisu caught it while he was hunting. So he picked it up after that. But the word was like, it doesn't really matter because all I wanted was to get that gem away from my dad because that's what was giving him all that power. So once he did that, he took down his dad and then took the throne from him. So he pretty much killed his father for the power itself. And then he obviously got killed by Majin Buu. So we got a little bit of a backstory about that. We didn't get it. Sadly, we didn't get an explanation on what it is capable of, which pisses me off. I don't know if sometimes animes does this, but maybe this is particularly just Dragon Ball. But the whole, explaining that this is very powerful and not going in depth on what it can do is kind of annoying because they said it gives you a ton of power and you can do some crazy things. It's like, well, what can it do? What is it capable of? And they didn't even give us anything. It's just like, oh, it makes you real powerful. Thanks. There's no that's no information. It's like every time when we see, powerful character showing up, they're like, he's really powerful. Well, how powerful is he? You guys just keep on saying he's really strong or his power is insane. Is it give us an actual explanation or, something on how powerful they are. So this little third eye Gempy, they didn't really give us an explanation of what's capable of. All this says makes you really powerful. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's that's a forgiving conclusion. Like, give us more, an in-depth analysis on what it's capable of. So I just felt like that was annoying. But the backstory was kind of cool. But like I said, it wasn't really anything that interesting because if you're gonna give us a backstory and explanation on something, give us an actual proper explanation. Don't just, tell us a basic surface level thing like it's really powerful. Like what? So that was a decent backstory, but it wasn't, it just didn't give us enough. But most of the episode was just the crew running away from the rest of the soldiers that were firing at them. And then Goku's like, maybe we can just last the bullets or whatever, so they just run out of ammo. And Piccolo's like, I can regenerate, so I can just jump out there. And also Goku tried to get Navi to help out. Navi's like, nah, I can't do it. You should do it yourself. So that was kind of ridiculous. But yeah, he told him that, yeah, I wouldn't jump out there and take my chance with my regeneration because they hit you in a battle spot, you would be pretty much dead. And Goku's like, and then Pansy was like, yeah, the guns can last for like 10 days and stuff, so you're not gonna be able to wait it out. So Goku's like, screw it, we'll just jump out him. Piccolo and Vegeta all jump out to attack them. They're taking them down now, uh, but they're still struggling. And then they bring some tanks in, some 3 tanks. So they fire the tanks, and they fire this energy, hits the ground, and electrocutes them. This all these attacks were basically electrocuting them, right? And it takes them down, it electrocutes them. Um, and they're kind of in screwed position with these tanks until we see some bombs falling down that blow them up. And now we're wondering who dropped them in these grenades. And then we find out it was Pansy's father. He came from the third demon world since, there's no longer the barrier. He got to there on the ship and they're attacking, and he was destroying some of the tanks, but then they blew up the ship. We thought he died, but he actually survived. Him, his crew got out, and then they started taking out the rest of the tanks to help out the rest of the crew. And then Goku and Vegeta went Super Saiyan, and they started just beating the rest of the, enemies, and took them all out. But Dexu, I mean, Goma still has, the other elite guards that he was talking about. And on top of it, he's gonna be getting a third demon eye because they also had he told Dexu to get the third eye, and he's like, "How am I supposed to do that?" So I think he hired a woman to go get it from him by offering him a kiss, but he wanted, so he took a goofy hat, but they got it anyway, so they're gonna get it, and he's gonna hopefully he gets it by next episode, so we don't waste any more time because there's only 5 episodes left now, and after that episode, it's gonna be only 4 episodes, so we only got like literally 5 weeks left of this show before like it's all over wrapped up. So I think they need to speed up more on that. I know I've been keep on mentioning the fact they need to speed up on the story and the pacing is a little bit slow. But yeah, they basically stopped them, and that was pretty much the end of the episode. There wasn't really much happening in this episode. This episode did have stuff happening unlike the other last 2 episodes, but it wasn't anything too crazy. It was just them fighting off and hiding a lot. Most of it was just them hiding and cowering away from these guys. Now, the big problem that I have that like I said that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I've been kind of having with this show, but not too much. I had it completely with a lot with Dragon Ball Super. You guys have seen my videos talking about how I don't like this about Dragon Ball Super, and it is the power scaling. The power scaling in Dragon Ball Super was terrible, but this is also not good. Now, I was hoping that they would have at least more decent power scale because I know more modern day Dragon Ball, for some reason, Toriyama, and he had full hand in this before he died, but Toriyama and Toei Animation, for some reason, I don't know what they got in their head, but they've been shitting on the main characters. They've been putting so many anti-feats. They've been making them look super weak. Like sometimes they look really powerful, but then they also have a lot of weak things. The moments where they look weak, like this, where throughout the show, the first instance where I saw this was when Goku was getting tested out by the third Demon King. He's like, I want to see how capable you are, so I want you to fight my guards and stuff like that. And as he was gonna fight them, yeah, he was like, oh, the king was like, they're gonna fight with weapons too. And he's like, yeah, that's fine, but just as long as there's no guns. And I was like, wait, what do you mean there's no as long as there's no guns? Like, why are you afraid of guns? Like, I at first I was like, maybe it wasn't as what I thought their meaning. Maybe Goku's just like, hey, I want it to be straight up more combat, but he said no guns, and I was like, "Why? Like, you're strong enough to take guns. We saw you busting into, Red Ribbon Army's, like, Muscle Tower and the HQ, and they were full of guns. They had explosives. They had all these things, and you tank that shit even while you were, like, distracted and stuff. So why would them having guns be a problem to you? At this point, you can take planet destroying attacks, so I don't know why. But I didn't want to say anything about that because I was like, yeah, maybe it doesn't really matter. But then once soon they got to the second demon world, this is where a lot more of the power scaling looked a little bit more wonky, where they were afraid and surprised by the Kraken saying they're big, and then they're doing this, and then Vegeta and them were trying to avoid it, and like I was like, dude, you can just kill them, you can literally obliterate them. And Goku stated that no, they're too much to handle. I can't take them on. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? You can destroy a planet, but you can't destroy a giant squid that's the size of what, like an island? That's not that impressive. Like, why is he acting like such a weak ass bitch? Like, he should be able to handle it. And somebody said, no, no, that was a translation error. He said it's just too big, instead of saying he is too strong. But it's like, even with the too big, like, dude, a planet is more massive than a fucking, giant squid. They can destroy, Cell could turn the entire solar system, but yet you're scared of a giant octopus squid thingy. It's just fucking dumb to me. So that pissed me off. I was like a little annoyed by that the entire time throughout the whole second Doom world, where They were so terrified of it. They were avoiding it. I was like, why is Vegeta, trying to evade this? Why they're making a big deal about this creature when they can literally obliterate it? You're telling me this creature is going to be a threat when they've been able to handle Frieza, Cell, and all these other stuff? Like, come on. This is just stupid at this point. So they were heavily focused on that. So I saw that it was already a problem, but I was like, whatever. Then when we got to the giant world, I'm like, you're struggling against giant hamsters. A giant dog is taking your attacks. And now a kid, Goku went Super Saiyan and was clashing with a kid with a ruler. And he had his power pole and he got sent flying and lost to the kid. So how the fuck are you losing to him? Just because he's giant doesn't mean shit. Goku fought against Giant Piccolo and he was able to handle him in Dragon Ball. So why the hell are you scared of this giant? And this is just a giant child, and you couldn't even handle a fucking dog. It's kind of it was pathetic. I was like, damn, they're making them look weak. Now this episode 100% cemented, and I have to talk about the power scaling because you guys know me. I'm a power scaler. I love talking about the powers, and I hate when power scaling is bad. I hate this is one of the things that I've been really hating about modern day Dragon Ball. Old school Dragon Ball, yes, there were moments where the characters weren't always looking very powerful, but you expect that sometimes, Sometimes stories are going to have inconsistencies, and there's certain extents to where you can accept it. There's like, okay, is this probably just, plot device or whatever. It was just a little bit of bad writing, right? Plot into stupidity. But in the modern days, it's so much, it's too constant, it's overwhelming. It's like sometimes like I can't tell if these characters are really powerful or really fucking weak because this is really weak. Why are you scared of guns? Why are you guys getting hurt? Him and Vegeta getting hurt by guns. Uh, them stating that one shot at their vital spot will kill them. Like, are you kidding me? And then some people, this thing I hate about also about Dragon Ball fans, they make the biggest bullshit arguments. They're gonna say some dumb shit. They're ray guns. They're guns from the demon realm, so it's different. It's more deadly. Yeah, they're so deadly. Are they more deadly than a blast that can destroy an entire planet or a solar system? No, then don't come here and argue about that. Because they're fucking guns and tanks, they're not gonna be on that level anyway. Like these weapons are not gonna be destroying those massive like amount of things. Like it's just so dumb. Like they're running and hiding away from the guns. They're getting hurt by the guns. They got taken down by tanks. Are you fucking kidding me? Goku busted into Red Ribbon Army's HQ. He got hit with pistols, shotguns, snipers, rocket launchers, grenades, missiles. He was hit by a bunch of artillery, and guess what? It never took him out. Not only that, but they made them way slower too. Why couldn't he just speed blitz all these guys? We've seen Goku before speed blitz characters who have guns and able to in Dragon Ball and take them out before they even fire the gun. He should be able to take out all of them. We've seen Trunks cut down, an entire army of Frieza soldiers. They came at him and he took them all down. We just see one panel or like one a frame in the anime at least where he had the sword where it goes black and then he comes out and he cut them all down and he cut them so fast that he didn't even notice that they were dead until like after he was done. So we know that he can speed blitz a majority of these like a massive amount of characters at once. So is you know why the hell is are these characters not being able to speed blitz them of their way faster? It's just so fucking stupid. It irritated the hell out of me. And like I said, I let it slide early on, just like how I let the pacing slide for a bit. But they went too far in this episode with how weak they were. So I'm sick and tired of it. At this point, I just can't ignore it. I have to call it out for the bad writing. Like you've underpowered them. You made them so weak. This is a problem I had with, like I said, Dragon Ball Super. We had Goku deflecting a bullet, getting a bruise from it. We had, Krillin getting shot through the arm directly. We had multiple scenes where characters surpassed certain levels of power where they shouldn't have for no reason. So it was bad in that regard, and is just as bad in this. So I know they're not as strong as they were in Dragon Ball Super, but it doesn't change the fact that they should still be strong enough to handle, these ray guns and stuff and these weapons. It's so dumb that these guys are threatened by guys with guns and tanks. Goku was taking out tanks before. What the fuck happened? Why did they make him so goddamn weak? They're so fucking weak and pathetic. It's sad. It's like, dude, come on. So those other episodes, like I said, they weren't as completely egregious. They were getting a little bit bad, but this episode completely, broke the camel's back for me. At least where it's like, first of all, the episode the only reason this episode didn't have too much happening in it was because of that. It also hindered the story because instead of them just speed blitzing them or tanking it like how they normally would, they're literally like now struggling against it, and by doing so, they're having to waste time hiding and then doing something where we have to wait and go around. So it's like that's like a problem now. It's like you're wasting the episode because we're having these characters too weak and too afraid to, handle them or the problem. So now they're trying to avoid it and running and hiding. So instead of us having us, to beat these guys and actually progress in the story and going fight against actual threats, we're having them wasting it by them being too weak to handle this threat and just wasting time of them hiding from guys with guns and tanks. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, it went from being a little bit annoyed with the show to being completely pissed off. This episode really made me mad because it was kind of boring. There wasn't much happening. And then there was a lot of bad power scaling in it and a lot of, stupid things happening, like them being afraid of guns. There should be no reason these guns or these weapons or these, say, tanks should be harming them. They should be way past this level of, damage. It's just pathetic. So yeah, this was a very badly power scaled episode. This episode, the power scaling was horrible. They looked weak as hell, and I want to know if you guys how you felt about it. Were you guys disappointed? Were you guys annoyed? Because I definitely was, and I bet you there's gonna be a lot of Dragon Ball Down players that are gonna use this to say, "See, they're not that powerful. They're getting hurt by guns. They're hiding from it." So a lot of these other characters wouldn't do that because they're way too powerful for that. And I can't really disagree with them, seeing as how pathetic they made them look in this episode. So yeah, it sucks, but that's just the reality. And I just wish that they would have I just wish that they wouldn't have done this. Why were they make them afraid of guns? Goku should, at this point, especially Goku and Vegeta and none of these Dragon Ball characters should be afraid of guns. Guns shouldn't have any effect on them. Whether it's energy guns, laser guns, they should not work unless they're using some, divine magical weapon. That makes sense. But using like a gun or technology should not harm them. It's just stupid. So yeah, this was a badly written episode all around. Slow paced, wasting time, nothing really happening, and then the power scaling was completely dog shit. So yeah, I think as a whole, this episode was pretty atrocious. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned for next time.